Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Doug.
And I'm Lorenzo.
And this is Good Suffering. On this show, we normally review a film that I've seen.
And I haven't.
But before we do that, we do a little bit of horror news. Oh, you're really going to leave me hanging?
I just love that you looked at me. You hate it so much, but you're counting on it. All right, here we go. Horror news.
It's growing on me.
Yeah.
It's growing on me. Oh, boy. Okay, so we've got some horror news for you, fresh and hot off the presses. FX is bringing its new What We Do in the Shadows TV show to New York Comic Con. Now, this is not Wellington Paranormal. That's a New Zealand production that's going to be syndicated here, but is not what FX is doing. Their take on the show, or on the, well, I guess the show that's inspired by the movie, is literally the same thing as the movie, but set in Staten Island.
Huh?
Yeah, it's going to be 3 vampires who've known each other for hundreds of years and lived together, but in Staten Island. Could go good.
Oh, yeah.
Jermaine Clement and Taika Waititi are both EPs on it. Yeah, really? You're not excited? That's fair. It's set to air in the spring, and they're going to be showing a sneak peek of the very first episode at New York Comic Con, apparently playing in the Hammerstein Ballroom, too. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'll give it an honest try.
Are you more excited for Wellington Paranormal?
Yeah, that seems more actually tied in with the movie itself.
Fair.
And the movie was awesome. So.
Fair. And I think there's also talks for like a direct sequel too, maybe.
Yeah, that's been in.
And then like werewolves.
Right.
Yeah. We are wolves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next up, Tom Savini's 1990 remake of Night of the Living Dead is finally hitting a non-limited U.S. Blu-ray release, October 23rd through Sony Pictures. Super excited for that. I haven't seen that movie in a lot of years. I remember not liking it, but like in these recent years, I've seen so much positive stuff about it as just like a more gorier, more classic horror take. Maybe not as much like social commentary. I remember from seeing it so long ago that it does diverge quite a bit from the from the original. God, I think there's a garage involved in this one. I'm trying to remember. Sid Haig is in it. Oh man, I'm really due for a revisit of that, especially because Tom Savini directing is like really cool. Next up, big news. Whole horror community buzzing about this one.
Ooh.
Robert Englund returning as Freddy in full Freddy makeup for the Goldbergs Halloween episode, which I don't personally like that show. It's like doing reruns on Nick at Night, and I've been trying to fall asleep to it lately, and I'm just like, God, this is awful. But I'm super excited to see him back in the makeup. They did that documentary about him, and they put him in the makeup one last time, and he said that was going to be the last time. So I guess he's going back on that a little bit. But I'm super excited. The episode's going to be called The Nightmare on Elk Avenue. And they recreated that. Did you see that? They recreated like the classic picture of him and Heather Langenkamp, but with like the mom from the Goldbergs, where he's got like his arm wrapped around her. Yeah. I'm excited to see it, and he looks great still, man. Like he's 70 something, and he still just looks. Damn, there's nobody else that can be Freddy. Yeah. They should never remake it again. They should never do another sequel. If it's not going to be him, it's just like, how do you do it? How do you not You
don't like the guy that did it? That was from Watchmen.
No. Jackie Earle Haley, who's also.
I knew that was his name, but I wasn't convinced.
No, he's not the Sandman. Is he the Sandman too? He's something else.
He's Rorschach.
Yeah, but he's something else.
Like too. Another horror.
He's also he was also originally up for, I think, Johnny Depp's role in the original.
Wait, he himself?
Yeah, Jackie Earle Haley.
Oh wow.
Yeah, which is like my least favorite horror remake of that cycle from the early 2000s.
Wait, even more so, like least favorite than Halloween?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
The Friday one's like.
It's okay. I mean, my favorite's the Texas one, but that's what started me on horror, so I have a little bit of a personal to that. Lionsgate at a Goldman Sachs conference stated that they want to own horror again like they used to, which means that they're probably going to be going up against like Blumhouse and bigger production companies, A24 maybe now, which like I would consider, while not necessarily strictly a horror production house,
Making a name, man.
Really making a big splash in horror between The Witch and Hereditary and all of that.
Yeah.
They say they want to make a shark movie.
Ooh.
So, yeah.
That means I'm going to start shutting my eyes during trailers again. If I see Lionsgate red again, oh boy.
But, Lionsgate made the whole Saw series and Hostel, the remake of My Bloody Valentine, Cabin in the Woods, The Descent, House of a Thousand Corpses. So there was a point where Lionsgate really was putting out the biggest.
They were synonymous with
arguably
horror,
the best horror. And then they started putting out like the Hunger Games and stuff. And they tried to broaden their reach. And I think
Death Race. I'm still pinning that. Oh,
Death. Was it Death? Was that what they called Death Race? The one with Jason Statham. Yeah. That was like a bad remake of the original Death Race 2000.
Yeah.
Yeah. More big news. Big speculative news. John Carpenter, in an interview with Consequence of Sound, hinted that there might be a Prince of Darkness TV show coming as a Shudder exclusive. Or at least he hinted at a Prince of Darkness TV show and then something exclusive with Shudder, which is leading people to believe that it's going to be a Prince of Darkness full-length show, which I'm super excited for, even if he's not connected to it. I love Prince of Darkness. I think it's a super underrated Carpenter film.
Yeah, you played that theme for us when we were driving back, right? That was a good theme.
Yeah, baby.
Real good.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see whatever he does with Shudder. Whatever, him back in the game is great. Also, and he seems rejuvenated too. He's not just taking a paycheck anymore.
What do you mean?
Carpenter. He feels like Carpenter creative wants to do this again. You know what I mean? When you looked at movies like The Ward and his work from like the late 90s, early 2000s, you just don't feel like he's there. You know what I mean? But since he started doing the music again and he was playing those shows and he looked great. I saw him on his first tour and then I saw him on his second. And just like the difference in him, man, he was dancing on stage. He was having a great time. He feels like a rock star. Yeah. And I think he's getting this almost renaissance and, we're really appreciating his films now, looking back at them. So I think he's really excited to have a career again. Good. And I'm whatever he wants to make, I'm here to take. I will give him as much money as he wants. And I hope he comes back around because I loved seeing him live.
God bless him. God bless him, man. Mm-hmm. Also, I'm pretty sure I'm wrong on that whole Death Race thing. I had to look it up. They did a lot of movies kind of like in that same vein, though.
Yeah.
That trashy, annoying, loud, actiony movie kind of stuff. Anyway, enough about them.
Like just genre stuff they made a lot of. Yeah. And finally, a little bit more of a personal thing for you and me. We listened to the Shape Returns track that they released from the new Halloween score, which is. You can read all the track names now. You can go and look at them on Apple Music or
which I did by accident.
And, a little bit of a spoiler. You said right.
I don't want to know.
Yeah, you don't want to know the beats.
Yeah, fair. And I saw too much already.
But it's great. You guys got to go out and listen to it.
It sounds really good.
It's got a lot of classic motifs from the original. Mm-hmm. I think it's some of the best. It's definitely the best score work he's done since the Prince of Darkness and the Mouth of Madness. Era.
Yeah,
and he's back. So cool. He's got his son Cody working on it with him.
Very expanded.
Yeah.
Sound, I feel like he's doing stuff that he's probably been thinking about for ever.
Yeah, did you listen to the Lost Themes 1 and 2 CDs?
Yeah.
It feels like an extension of that. While also looking back on Halloween and his scores for Halloween 1, 2, and his work on 3.
Yeah. So great. Yeah, definitely give it a listen. Without checking out the song list, unless you want to kind of know.
If you go on Apple Music or probably Spotify too, it's probably in his top songs, so you don't have to actually go to the thing at all if you're really trying to save yourself for when the movie comes out.
Yes.
And pre-order the vinyl. Vinyl's on pre-order now too.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to do that.
Yeah.
Is that it for horror news?
Yeah.
Wow. No talk about the Joker.
Oh, you want to talk about the Joker?
Nah. Is it really horror related?
No.
God, I just love him though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just tell you can go ahead.
Just look at Joaquin Phoenix.
So today we're talking about the 2017 anthology film XX. This is a first for Good Suffering, doing an anthology film, fully female directed, with 4 segments and 1 wraparound. I guess let's start off with that IMDb review. Give it to us, Lorenzo.
All right. This is, prepare yourselves for the most straightforward IMDb synopsis.
Yet, at least.
Yet, yes.
Maybe ever.
I think so, honestly. 4 short horror films that are directed and written by women.
Huh.
That is it.
1 sentence. Get in, get out.
And all you get is that it's 4 short horror films directed and written by women.
Yeah.
So you missed that part. You said they were directed by women, but they're also written.
Yeah, they're all written and directed by the directors themselves.
The writ.
Yeah. Well, what'd you think of this?
I thought a little bit more highly than IMDb, apparently, because it has like a 4.6.
It's got like a 70-something on Rotten Tomatoes, though.
Really?
I think so.
Well, this is probably when IMDb was still being run by a bunch of losers. Like, a lot of... am I going to get into this? You're giving me like a weird look. About,
you say whatever you want to say, man. Okay, so this is your...
A while back, like before, in IMDb's prime, they had like all those message boards and everything. And IMDb, the company itself, like officially like closed them down because they were like too many neckbeards, like just being douchebags on there.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people would do is just kind of like review movies that they thought were a little too feminist or a little too diverse or something like that. So this might have gotten that treatment.
Okay.
I can't remember what movie it was, but I think it might have been Get Out or something. Like Get Out was getting like such bad reviews before it was even like publicly like widely released.
I like when people leave The Godfather 1-star reviews on there though.
Yeah, well, you know what? You have bad tastes in Godfather
really
trilogy movies specifically, but also in movies in general. Anyway, XX. So yeah, our first anthology that we've done. Certainly not the first that I've seen, but it was framed really cool with like the stop motion kind of thing that kind of had a story around it. Those things were really creepy. Those kept me engaged. Each story was very different from the other, but still kind of had like, I don't know, some weird like possibly not allegorical, but kind of like symbolic things going on metaphorically in the storylines that you can't quite make out. It was the box, it was the birthday party, it was what was it? Oh, Don't Fall, and then Only Living Son.
Her Only Living Son.
Yeah.
And the wraparound doesn't have a name as far as I know.
Yeah, it was interesting though.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it being like an anthology, I guess like I have like different opinions on like the different segments.
Of course.
I guess as a whole though, I would say that it was fun. I mean, it was cool. It was interesting. It was. I don't have very good attention span when it comes to, I guess, like short form kind of content. Believe it or not, like as weird as that sounds, like let's say like a TV show. I hate watching TV because
so do I. Hey.
Like there's like so many arcs, and it's just tiring. It's like I want to get to the end already.
Yeah.
So watching shows and it's like, oh, it gets better at this. I'm like, okay, that's fine if it gets better, but it still doesn't even resolve itself.
And that's the thing is like when I look at TV, I look at like a 10-episode season. I go, that's 10 hours to get to the same place that a 2.5-hour movie could, or a 2-hour movie could.
Yeah. So I'm glad that you and I share that. I didn't know that, but that's how I feel. But however, these movies are great because they're like just short films. So you do kind of get some semblance of like an arc or some semblance of a complete storyline, even if there isn't quite clean endings to them.
It's very base satisfying. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like just like the subgenre itself or the form itself.
It felt like what it felt like. It felt like we were at like just a pretty cool low key film festival that we just saw 4 movies. It was nice. It was nothing particularly mind blowing, revolutionary, but it still was a cool time to just sit down and watch 4 different short films.
All right. Well, for me with anthology films, the wraparound is really make or break. Like with movies like VHS or like the Creepshow series, I really love those wraparounds. You know what I mean? It's almost like a little treat you get for making it through each segment. And this really landed it for me in an interesting way by not really being cohesive, not really, following whatever's happening in the short films like something like VHS or Creepshow does. But it's it was great to watch. It's very visually stimulating and interesting. I think the framing sequence was directed by Sofia Carrillo, but that was a really great treat. The shorts for me are a little hit and miss. I definitely liked this a little bit more on my rewatch, because I watched this as it came out at like midnight when it dropped on iTunes. I had the pre-order for it and everything. Yeah. Super excited for it. And it kind of let me down. I guess that was almost some of the marketing. And I'm never that guy who's like, oh, well, the marketing said it was the scariest thing in the world. I know that, every horror movie is marketed as, it's so scary, you're going to fucking die, man. But I don't know. Something about it just didn't land with me that first time. And I think it definitely hasn't like fixed itself entirely for me, but a little bit more. I've appreciated some of the things, and that might also be just me having sat on it for like the past year and a half since it came out.
Okay. So I'm curious, how do you want to go about this? Like, do you want to kind of go in chronological order, like start with the box?
Yeah.
We kind of do it the way we did our Haunter review.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, the box is directed by Jovanka Vukovic. I am so sorry if I'm massacring a director's name, but that's how it looks. It's based on a Jack Ketchum short story. I think it won a Bram Stoker Award too. That story.
The story. Oh, the story.
Yeah,
okay.
And obviously written also by Vukovic. It involves a woman, a mother, on a train with her two kids. One, the boy, is a bit, a little rowdy, a little, kind of, getting in people's business.
Yeah.
And he asked this strange man with a glass eye, "Hey, what's in this box?" It's Christmas time. He's got this red box, and the guy shows it to him, and immediately the kid just kind of goes blank faced.
Yeah.
And stops eating over time. He just won't eat anymore.
And it's very subtle too how it happens at first, because he just kind of seems like a picky eater, like he just doesn't want to eat dinner. The movie does a lot of like the director Jovanka, she does very cool stuff with showing you over the top, like a kind of like a high angle right down on the plates, so you see exactly what the whole meal is. It also does like kind of like names for each day. It says Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I think it starts with like Sunday, in fact. So it's just setting that kind of rhythm. Like, that every time they're at the dinner, like the whole movie surrounds him at the dinner table, and you get to see every meal, and you realize that he's literally skipping every single meal.
Yeah, he won't take his lunch to school.
Right.
He tells them he skips pizza day at school. He won't eat what you're saying. Oh, this is your favorite meal. You love like spaghetti. You love pizza.
Yeah.
And he won't do it. And then he tells his sister about whatever he sees in the box, which is actually a kind of interesting thing because, obviously the box is a MacGuffin and whatever's in it. But it's got to be something that's, able to, you have to communicate it. Yeah, you could say what it is and it still have that effect. So that really brings an interesting element onto whatever was in the box.
Yeah. What's in the box? What's in the box?
What's in the fucking box?
Yeah. And then how does the dad get involved?
I think the dad, like when she's not home one day, I think just like interrogates the son. Just the way I read that
aggressive
is like, the dad starts getting really aggressive at this, while the mom is almost
very passive.
Very passive. There's a little bit of desperation in it, but it's almost like she resigns nearly immediately.
Yeah, and one thing too, I think was really cool about like the dinners as they progressed. It starts with like pretty full meals, full on courses. Like it looked amazing, and that was like one of the first things I thought. I was like, wow, those look like really delicious meals.
Really, I was kind of repulsed by all the food I saw.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe something about the way it was shot or something. But it's
fine to me, especially like when it got to the Chinese. But
of course,
I love Chinese food. But as it progressed, like you just saw too that like I think it was like less intricate meals, like less home cooked meals. The fact that they eventually got to the Chinese takeout, I feel like there was probably like the notion that like the mom is kind of like taking even less of a stance or less of a forward position in what's going on in the household. you know, it's definitely some metaphor there about like she's being kind of a passive mom, not really taking control or initiative with her kids, probably not with her husband either. And I think that kind of comes into like that dream sequence where she's getting cut so that she can feed the kids, feed the family. You know, I think it's a very, very psychological film. I'm just not sure whose point of view we're really taking. Like, I know it starts with like the monologue or the I guess like a little bit of a monologue or shoot, what's the word? She's looking out the window at a train during the train ride, and she's kind of just talking to herself. So obviously it's from her point of view, but I mean, I guess I didn't pick up on that until later on. Like, it didn't seem like it was her story until like finally like all the family was kind of getting pulled in by whatever the MacGuffin was.
Right. Fair. I always kind of saw it from her, and I guess I'm trying to think back of like my initial reaction, like first seeing it.
Like when you first saw it?
Yeah, because I instantly picked up the thread at the end of the movie, and you know, we talked a little bit about this because we kind of watched this movie together. I said to you that I really didn't like the third short, Don't Fall.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because it kind of kills this like thread that they almost have going that I even see within the framing sequence.
Yeah.
Of like motherhood, specifically. You know, it's all these different plays on like different aspects of motherhood.
Yeah.
And especially to a son, you know?
Yeah.
Or I guess, well,
birthday
party is a daughter, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But just
still,
motherhood in
mother,
general.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's all different kind of ages too, because you know, the boy in the box he's got to be like 10, 11 years old. Mm. And then like
younger than that.
Then she's like 7 in the birthday party, and then you know now it's like a 17, 18-year-old boy in the last segment. Yeah. So I really always kind of like in the way that I look at the short, like it's hard for me to separate the idea of like knowing that it's the mother's story. So I don't know. I never really had that issue with like figuring out who the point of view is from.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're definitely right, especially like in the context of the whole entire anthology of it. I don't know. It just felt weird. Like I was trying to follow what was like happening. I guess maybe I was just trying to figure out what the hell was going on in the box, and I thought we were gonna get that kind of explanation. Mm-hmm. So I was kind of following like the kid a little bit more than the mother.
Almost in anticipation.
Yeah, just waiting to find out what the heck was curious. I guess like in a philosophical sense, like the way I was reading it for a while was like, this poor kid has been like soiled, and he now knows that like there's no meaning to life or whatever. There's no God or something.
You see, that's
not to say that's a definitive statement on my philosophy, but
I looked up on Reddit like some kind of analysis of the actual original Jack Ketchum story, and that's kind of what people were saying is like whatever's in the box, like the closest thing it's got to be something that lets you accept death. You know what I mean? It's just like the ultimate acceptance of death, and not to the point of driving yourself to die, but that like your functions,
like will.
Yeah, your will to live, which I guess is like embodied by like eating in this, you know, just kind of goes away.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really interesting when you think about like how it just catches on, like from person to person to person, and like how do you translate that, you know, if that's what it is? And ultimately it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Ultimately it doesn't matter what's in the box.
Right.
Because it's just a function of like what's happening, what you see, you know what I mean? But he tells the doctor says, you know, if you don't eat, you're gonna die. Yeah. You know, which was like a really blunt thing for the doctor to say to a kid. But then
the kid comes back even more blunt.
So it's gotta be there's an acceptance of death there. Like that's the only thing I can read. Into it. And how do you put that in a box?
I know. That's why I was really curious. Like, I want to know. But it's so cool too. And like, I think, you know, it goes back to that like kind of strength of motherhood that we see at the very end of the film with her only living son. You know, like it's just willpower to like do whatever it takes for like her family. Now she's not really she's not doing so much for her family. It's kind of taking like a passive role, kind of letting things take its course. But I think that dream sequence like proves that like she's still really hoping to provide for this family. Like whether she just doesn't know how. She doesn't know how unless like she gives herself up like literally for them to eat her. Like she would do
That's
that.
The dream.
But other than that, like she's just powerless.
Yeah, maybe it's maybe sort of an allegory for like emotional abandonment. Maybe I'm just like kind of grasping at something there. because if it's from the point of view of the mother, you know what I mean? Like that's a choice.
Yeah.
You know, and that has to play into it. And especially when you look at her being passive versus the father's kind of anger at the situation, and everybody's sort of everybody's engaged to a certain degree. You know, the daughter is curious, the father is angry, she's passive, the son's passive to his own situation. Yeah. And then as he spreads that, more, you know, there's just more of a passive.
It was heartbreaking seeing like the daughter kind of get like into it too, like when they were talking on in bed, and then like you just saw like that stare that the daughter gave her mom. Like her mom knew immediately, like just right then and there, like something was up. Like she's gonna get it. Following morning, she says like, "Oh, I don't want to take my lunch to school." Like it's just downhill from there, and she feels like even more powerless.
If I was that girl and I was in that situation, and I didn't know what was gonna happen, I would just fuck with my mom, and be like, "I'm not hungry today, mom." She's just give me like a look like what, and I'd be like, "I'm fucking with you. Give me it." You have any last thoughts on the box? Anything else that you want to explore for that?
So you had said, hold on, let's backtrack a little bit before people think that we're breaking rules again with our literal format of the show.
How so?
I had what you said, like we saw this together.
Yeah.
Not entirely true. Like I just had to finish the movie like with you still watching it anyway.
Yeah.
Especially since it was an anthology, it was kind of easy to do that.
Hey, listen, these past few episodes, I've been a little busy around the time that we're supposed to watch.
Me too.
I just kind of happened to wait until the last day.
Look, we're trash. Okay?
We're garbage. We're garbage at this podcast.
The point is that like
the next one I'm gonna be good though on. The next one's
gonna be fun.
The next one.
Yeah.
Don't worry. So you gotta, no matter what you think of this, you gotta keep listening.
How many times have we said that on the show? Hey, look, this episode was not that great, but stay tuned for the next one.
And please give us that 5-star review. Feed our egos.
Oh my god.
We want to do the least amount of work for the most amount of credit.
Just say a comment. Just say how great we are. Jeez, where was I?
The box?
Yes, box. Oh, so when we were watching it together, nudge nudge, you said that like you hate MacGuffins, like you're really not into them.
Yeah,
I agree with you. Like they're kind of.
It's hard to do things with them, yeah.
Especially like you know, something like this, like kind of like a shorter film. However, just from our conversation, I think it led to a lot of discussion, a lot of interpretation.
Fair.
Whereas like a MacGuffin, like let's say in Pulp Fiction, like literally does not mean shit.
Like nothing in Pulp Fiction means anything.
True. Yes, you're absolutely right. But like you just, in that sense though, the suitcase or the briefcase, whatever it is, means nothing in that movie. Whereas here, like it definitely carries like a big impact throughout. Not just like sequence of events, not like a chain of events, but like literally like it carries a weight to it in and of itself. It sends his whole family spiraling down into.
Well, maybe starvation. That's why he won a Bram Stoker Award.
Wait, for the story, right?
Not for the short. No, the original story was written in like the 90s or something.
That's pretty cool.
And from what I've read, it's a pretty literal like translation. Like they don't miss much. Yeah,
I want to read that.
Yeah, I haven't read any Jack Ketchum, and I always hear his name come up. He just died like earlier this year.
Oh yeah,
and he's just like one of those horror writers I never read. I'm trying to get into like Peter Straub and stuff too.
How's his brother taking it?
Ash Ketchum? Yeah, somebody made a joke about that on Reddit. He's like, "Oh, you know, I bet what was in the box was a Pokeball."
All right, so I'm not original. I never said I was. Next movie, let's go.
Okay, The Birthday Party, co-written and directed.
Yes. By
St. Vincent herself.
Annie Clark co-wrote it. The other writer is also the writer
and
director of Don't Fall, which comes up after The Birthday Party. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah.
So yes,
who was also like a big spearheader of the project. I guess we'll talk about that once we talk about each. Yeah, I have just information on the movie itself in general.
Yeah. So The Birthday Party, also great band. Check them out. My Lord and Savior is the front man of that one. So okay, you know what? I started off on the last one. What'd you think of The Birthday Party? You tell me first.
Up until this viewing was probably my favorite of the shorts. It's funny in a very dark sort of way. It's clever. I like the music. I like the fact that St. Vincent made it. I love Melanie Lynskey, who is like totally like through her performance in 2.5 Men, like gave me my weird crazy girl thing that like I fantasize about.
Right there with you.
So and she's also great in Castle Rock. If you guys haven't watched it yet, shout out to all Stephen King related projects forever. But I like it a lot. Again, it just plays on that whole, a mother and like the lengths that she goes through to protect her kid or not protect her kid. It's actually a pretty good like foil to the other stories, or at least at least the box, to where the mother is just sort of ineffective. Now it's this mom doing these like really dark act just to for bad means for a positive end, which doesn't really end up positive anyway. Yeah. Maybe shouldn't have just stuck it right there on the table though.
What, the freaking
body?
Yeah. It was interesting. It was funny. It was funny in a dark, humorous way. Certainly not like laugh out loud kind of funny. Lots of weird like edits, like cut between scenes, like it cuts to black rather than just cutting from one image to another.
I guess that's just a way of like showing time passing.
Really strange. It's choppy, and I don't mean that like as a criticism. I don't personally like it, but I think you might be right. It's just a different way of editing, and I'm all for changing the ways people edit movies. Editing is like the sincerest way of actually telling the story of the movie. That's where the movie's made. So I'm all for experimentation with that, but it didn't work out for me. It was just so funny. It was so like off, like key, like a little bit like off kilter. Like it was just so weird, and it felt like I don't know. It felt like a weird, quirky, like Adult Swim kind of late night horror movie, like something that they would show. Like it's funny, but like it's not like it's just like a late night humor kind of thing. Fair. Like, oh, here we have a dead body at a kid's birthday party.
Fair. This short came from two ideas. One being a true story of a mother hiding, her husband's dead body from their child, just for a little while to try and
because that's the situation.
Yeah, because figure out how to do it without scarring the kid for life, and also some kind of photograph or painting from an art book that St. Vincent had. I'm just gonna keep calling her St. Vincent
instead of Annie Clark.
Yeah, it's St. Vincent. I mean, they named the damn guitar St. Vincent, so her signature guitar.
Did they?
It's the St. Vincent guitar. Yeah, it's not the Annie Clark guitar.
Well, yeah, but I thought they named it something. It's a beautiful guitar.
Oh, it is. It's awesome.
Great design too.
Yeah.
More women empowerment right there too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's a fun guitar to play. Being a big man with big ditties. But the painting was just like exactly how that house looks in the short with like the glass and it's all like kind of upper class and pristine, and just right there on the floor is a rug rolled up with 2 feet sticking out of it, and that's the painting or photograph, whatever it is. That was the other inspiration for this.
It sounds a lot of fun.
And apparently St. Vincent is not a fan of horror movies. Not that she dislikes them, but she's just like very afraid, and like will cover her eyes through like a whole movie.
Ooh,
that's
she should
a testament
come on the show.
From the other directors. That's a testament from them.
Yeah, she'd be a good guest on Good Suffering.
I wish.
Yeah,
maybe she could teach me a little thing about guitar or two too. I'd appreciate that
a lot.
Yeah,
not that wasn't trying to insult you. Like she's just great.
Oh yeah, she is great.
Sucks, so.
But she likes Tool.
Oh, what?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
No.
She has a thing where she's like riffs that I wish I could have written, and she plays like a couple of Tool riffs.
Yeah, you're right. I blocked that out.
And then
memory.
Cowboys from Hell from fucking Pantera.
Look, that's a great riff.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
We always talk about music on this show.
We always do. We're musicians first. Kinda.
You are.
I definitely am, yeah.
I'm probably not. I'm not good enough.
Oh, you're great.
Thank you.
So where were we?
What did you say? It was like inspired by like the painting. I think.
Yeah.
Left off there. Oh, and that she's not a big horror movie buff.
Yeah. So I guess they were originally writing this to be a very serious, short, and then like partway through writing, they were like, "Wait a fucking minute, this is funny."
Yeah.
Almost how like, Tobe Hooper realized after he made Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like, wait, I made a really, really funny movie.
The first one?
Yeah.
Funny?
That's why he doubled down on the comedy for Texas Chainsaw 2, is because he realized there's a real dark humor aspect to it.
There is probably, but I wouldn't say funny. Like I'm so curious to see how the second one comes out. I really want to see the second one.
Yeah, we'll do that soon.
Anyway, but the birthday party, like it was the humor is there. I like dark comedy. There's certainly not too much to kind of like analyze. I mean, I think it's just this watching it from, again, like kind of seeing the box, seeing this mom struggle this way. And with this context here, we're seeing like this mom struggle more with like just like a lot of day-to-day stuff. It seems like trying to get like her freaking kid's birthday party going, dealing with like nosy neighbors and all that, dealing with like, I guess, her husband's assistant or whatever, who seems like really cold and a Saint Vincent kind of imposter. It was interesting to see it, and it was funny and it was clever, I guess, but I don't know. It was all right. It was good. It was okay.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It is really fun, honestly.
Yeah.
And I guess this next one is really fun too. It feels a little half-baked.
Okay.
So let's move on to Don't Fall.
Don't Fall.
Actually, I'm going to take a little pause real quick because I want to say I was just passively checking my email. And this is a plug for the show.
Our show.
Our show.
Oh, we're plugging our own show halfway through.
Yeah. We got a comment on our Haunt review on YouTube. It's on our podcast as well. It's just we put everything up on YouTube as well, the audio, from one of the actors at Field of Screams, saying, "I'm glad you guys had a good time. I was in the children's ward in the asylum."
Who was it? What was their...
Their handle is just like TYZ or something like that.
Because we also got a couple of follows on or likes rather, I would say. Or maybe both, to be honest, on our Instagram post of it.
Really?
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
And I tried, and I would see them in their costume. Like I tried recognizing. One I did recognize. One of them was the girl that put like the stuffed teddy bear in my face.
Hey.
And asked like, does this smell like chloroform? Mm-hmm. That was fun.
Hey, that's awesome.
I know, it was so cool. It's like, yo, like that's sweet. Like you like our stuff. That's great. Okay, so Don't Fall. This seems to be like your least favorite.
Definitely so.
Which to me, I enjoyed it a lot actually, just because it felt like a purely kind of like entertaining, like adventurous, kind of scary. This one made me jump. I kind of like said, "Oh shit!" Like when there's like a jump scare at one point. And I enjoyed it for that kind of reason. Like it kind of kept me going. Like the other two were kind of, well, the first one was kind of heady, kind of philosophical. The second one was just kind of, goofy, kind of funny. This one like kind of brought like the adrenaline to it a little bit. Really cool monster makeup and design. That weird like idea of like Native Americans or like they're being cursed. Like I liked all that. I thought it was a real cool, concise, scary movie. So I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it much more than you did.
Yeah. I just felt it didn't fit. I like the effects, but there wasn't enough of that kind of aspect to it for me to really cling on to. The characters, I guess it doesn't matter, how well defined the characters are, but I felt like they were just a little, just fodder for the killings.
I thought this was funnier.
And this movie is kind of, outside of this segment, kind of murderless. Not deathless, but it's not the kind of horror that's based on just killing and killing and killing. And this one just doesn't feel like it fits in. It feels like it would fit in more with an anthology that was a little more, effects heavy. Yeah, a little bit more straight up, classic horror, I guess, in a way.
Yeah, that's fair. And especially since you brought this to my attention and it's kind of making me reevaluate. But this one has nothing to do with mothers. So it does feel pretty out of place in that sense. Does it bring it down as a short itself? No, I think it's a pretty effective short, pretty good, solid. Mm-hmm. But within the context of this overall anthology, like it does stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
So again,
I also don't like the double titling on it, like showing Don't Fall as part of the same like title format of the rest, and then having Don't Fall pop up within
all the movies do that.
They all say the birthday party twice?
Yeah.
No, the birthday party isn't said twice.
It does. It does. Yep.
No.
Yeah, it does. Every single one. Every single one like has like, I guess like framing it like the red text saying like who wrote it, who directed it, and then like the movie itself will have its own title card.
Really?
Pretty sure.
I didn't catch on any of the others. Maybe because it's like really obvious and.
Well, and I love the title card for this one too.
Huh.
I love that in your face stuff. I'm all for it.
Well, maybe you're right. I don't remember that. Maybe I'm just trying to find things to hate more about Don't Fall because I just don't like it.
Yeah, that's it. And you just want to go against everything that I say.
That's not true.
So again, this was written by Roxanne Benjamin, who also co-wrote the previous one, The Birthday Party, and she directed this one.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so I have no idea how I ended up like following her. I think she's an actress in this short, Angela Trimber, and I've been following her on Instagram. From what point I have no idea. And then all of a sudden I saw that like she was posting stuff about like her going to the doctor and her having like breast cancer, and I was like, oh shit, like I almost felt like it was like a weird timing thing. I was like, fuck, did I somehow like affect this by clicking follow? Like my head was kind of going weird. It was like it's strange to see anyone kind of announce that kind of thing. You know, you always I don't know, I get very introspective about that. I start worrying about how they're doing. But anyway, yeah, so she's kind of going through that, and I gotta say, like, she's been real strong, real positive. She loves, like, she has like pet birds and all this, like, and shows them on her Instagram. They have their own Instagram, or at least this one does. I think his name is Henry. So she's just real sweet and real kind. Lots of positivity, especially for someone who's going through what they're going through. She's even like being really fun about it. She's like, you know, knowing that she's probably gonna lose her hair, she's like getting like different hairstyles and dyeing her hair differently before she finally. So she's doing all the things that she was kind of too afraid to do with her hair before she finally loses it. So it's just stuff like that. Like, I think she's real cool, and it was so interesting to see her actually, you know, perform. I might have seen her in other things before. I saw that she's been in other, like, you know, TV shows and other movies. Nothing else sticks out to me though aside from this.
Apparently she's in The Final Girls, but I don't remember that movie well enough to.
But yeah, big shout out to her. Go follow her on Instagram. Send your love.
What's her? Support. Did you give her?
It's literally her name, Angela Trimber. Trimbur. Angela.
Oh.
Yep. Big support to her. She's great.
All right. Well, on to the last one.
Yes.
Last of these segments. Her Only Living Son, directed by Good Suffering alumni Karen Kusama.
Yes.
Who directed Jennifer's Body.
Yes.
Episode 7 of the show? 9?
Boy.
Something like that. One of those.
Yeah. I can find out.
And this is my new favorite since rewatching it, reanalyzing it. I think I have a lot to say. I hope you do too, because you seemed pretty stricken by it, because this was the only part of the movie that you had not seen before coming here today.
Yeah. I had seen all 3 up until now. I was trying to watch it all I could have watched it all during my lunch break at work, but I kind of got caught up.
Yeah. Lorenzo is a very busy guy. He's got a very kind of important job. And me, I kind of live by this saying I heard in a Roswell Kids song, which is, if I do everything that I should, when do I do nothing at all?
Ooh, so I like that.
So, yeah.
Oh, Jennifer's Body, by the way, was episode 6.
6? Yeah. Really?
Go back. And
we did that right after Hellraiser?
Yes, we did.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That was me.
And then what was 7?
Well, we did a Hereditary bonus review, and then we live in a your hair
society.
There it is.
Okay. Wow. Thanks, buddy.
Just saying.
We live in a society. Okay. Well, cool. Go back and listen to those episodes if you haven't.
Yes,
because it's like Baby Us.
Yeah. We're still kind of getting the hang of this podcast. We're still getting the hang of this.
And in some ways, we're better then.
Oh yeah, we're better. And if you think this is like awful, like I can't wait for you to listen to the other crap we had to do before.
Ooh,
we were not good.
Child's Play.
That wasn't even that long ago.
It was like 2 weeks ago. Oh my God. So, Her Only Living Son.
Yes.
Well, it involves a mother and a son. And the
not
son,
so Holy Spirit, and
the not so Holy Spirit. Clever.
Thank you.
And basically, the son is the Antichrist, spawned of the devil.
Yep.
It manifests itself in some weird ways. He's got some sort of serial killer tendencies. I remember the first time I watched it, that's kind of what I was picking up.
Yes.
Until the cultier elements started coming through, and then the supernatural ones at the end. I was really just convinced that this was going to be like almost like a let's talk about Kevin type situation.
We need to talk about.
Need to talk about Kevin. There you go. I was convinced it was going to be that sort of situation, like making of a serial killer type situation.
Yeah.
But No. Turns out, no, he's evil incarnate. And ultimately, I guess it's got some reflections on the expectations of motherhood and the lengths you go to protect your kid versus almost like nature versus nurture at its core.
Yeah. Oh, God. Ooh, man. Whoa. Whoa. Getting emotional here.
That's just because you were a dick at that age, too.
I was younger than that, more so.
Yeah?
But I was also a dick at 18. I was a dick up until like 2 years ago.
You're not a dick now?
Less so. I thought I was doing well, but now you got me. I'm gonna be up late all night now thinking. Yes. You really hit it on the nose there though. Like it's really about like the mom, like what she goes through so much. I mean the beginning of the movie where the short is about like she's meeting with a doctor and the doctor said or she's saying to the doctor like she's gonna run away because they have like their agenda and she's never gonna let them get him or whatever. And like as things start getting worse, like she's totally aware of what her son is doing. Like she sees like
she plays ignorant though. She plays a little dumb.
No, where?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wasn't really hinted at like how much she knew of that up until the end. Maybe she was trying to deny it for herself.
I think so. I think that's what she was doing. She was just trying to pretend like it wasn't there, pretend like she was doing a good enough job. Because she mentioned that like they kept moving and moving like every time so that they can't find her. There was that weird mailman though who like apparently has been watching her since like day one.
And then like the school, the principal and the teacher.
Yeah. So everybody's in on this basically, is surrounding them. And what she's just trying to do is just keep her son from being taken up by like who her dad is, who's out there living it up in Hollywood. Oh, his dad, my bad. Yeah. Out there in Hollywood with like his third wife or whatever.
Which I love that element. I guess I failed to bring that up is that she keeps mentioning that his dad is either an actor, director, something like that, is some kind of Hollywood type person who, kind of abandoned them for fame. And I love that idea that like ultimately it becomes, well, no, he did that, for fame. He sold his, son to the devil.
Right.
And I kind of like that idea, playing on like, when you leave your kid, when you abandon your child, especially a male child and a father, you are allowing more negative things to exist in their life. You're to that something. If you're not there to guide them, something is going to guide them, or their own misguidings are going to guide them.
Yep. Oh boy,
there's a lot at play in this one.
It is. It's really heavy. Like I think like the last like just few minutes of it, like that scene where the mom is like confronting her son and she's letting him know, she's trying to tell him like, look, this is what I was protecting you from, like don't let them do this, like you are my son, I love you, all this. And then like it all ends up like with them like hugging each other and like just everything that leads up to that is such like I was glued to the TV. I couldn't look away. It was just so gripping. I think it was such a beautiful way to end
how does he die?
They both like die together,
just like from
like
whatever's
when they're
happening.
hugging each other, like then like this, it kind of gets like a little trippy with like the lighting and all that. Yeah, and it sounds like their bones are being crushed. At first, I thought she was crushing.
Yeah, I thought she might have like stabbed him or something.
Right, just so like to take him out of all this. But they both seem to have died when that happened. So they're just lying on the floor
with that happy birthday cake right there.
Yeah,
and like the
her arms
foreground,
still, like around him.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. I mean, it really. I think it to me. I'm probably like projecting, but I think it's a lot of.
I did a lot of that.
Yeah. It's a lot of like about like what your mom will do. Like she. Oh, it broke my heart. Like it's his birthday. It's the morning of his birthday, and like he's leaving, and she's sitting by the cake, and she says like happy birthday, son, and like she gives like this sorry little smile to him, and he just doesn't care. He's like, oh, I'll see you. Don't wait up for me tonight or something, and she just leaves, and it's just this unconditional love. Like there's blood all over because he's going through whatever he's going through in the bathroom, and she's there like scrubbing his clothes, scrubbing the floor, scrubbing the mirror, like everything. She's just trying to keep everything orderly because that's what you do for your kid, or at least that's what in this story what your mom will do for their kid. Oh boy. Anyway, ayo, so it's good. It's damn good, and especially if you have daddy issues, it's even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The allegory of like, you becoming a man and becoming 18, and that's they layer that on really heavy. Like, let me be your mom for one more day before you get to vote. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. You no matter what, there's always a level of control you have before you turn 18. You know what I mean? You could do some wild shit at whatever age. You know what I mean? There are stories of 6-year-olds stealing cars and whatnot. Yeah. You know, but until you're 18, there is always a certain blanket of control on you, and it's just like releasing somebody who's so misguided and is so, releasing that into the adult world. Yeah. I don't know. Now I'm screwed up. I'm screwed up at it. It's so much.
It's tough. Like my mom, she would talk to me a lot about these things because she would always be very proud, I guess, like of what she's done, which she should be as a mother, like how she's. Things could have gone so south. Things could have gone so differently for both of us as I grew up and what she was going through. And so she's, always been saying like, there's only so much that a parent can do until like they reach adulthood, until that kid reaches adulthood. At that point, it's up on them. You just hope that you did everything you could up until then to make sure that they come out as a good person. And it seems like that's what this mother was doing. And like just at the cusp is like when things start getting harder for this kid to be a good a kid. Like I think she said like he's never done anything wrong. All of a sudden he's like being like this is not the kid I know, this is not my son. Like it's almost as if like once you get that like taste of freedom or what have you, however you want to put it, things do get harder at that point. Yeah. And she's just trying her hardest at the very last end of it to be like, look, I'm still here for you, I'm still your mom. Like that's not your father or whatever. He's not the one that guided you. It's me. So I'm here. Oh, who would have thought? Freaking XX.
Personally, I think talking through this movie has made me it's shaped my opinion of it.
Yeah. That's exciting. That's good.
Yeah.
I think so too. For me too, honestly.
But yeah, I rank them. Do it. Fuck it.
That reminds me of like that Onion article. Did you ever see that?
Which one?
It's like, fuck it, we're gonna rank the religions.
Oh my god,
I love that one.
The amount of times we've talked about the Onion on here.
Have we?
Yeah,
we don't talk about it enough. Honestly.
No, definitely not. Oh my
god. Okay, all right. Let's see. So I'm gonna start from the bottom.
Oh, like worst to best?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or like least favorite. So the birthday party, which is interesting because Annie Clark was really the one like I was most excited to see.
I feel like that was a deciding factor with you even picking this movie. It was like, oh, I want to see the Annie Clark thing.
Yeah, for sure. I can't deny that because I think she's a great musician. Her working with David Byrne is like one thing too that like really sticks out. Like that means like you're credible.
Lorenzo loves the Talking Heads.
I love the Talking Heads.
Is it no? It's just Talking Heads.
Whatever.
Right? Whatever. Yeah.
I think they flip flop. I don't know. I'll find out. Shows how much of a real fan I am. So yeah, I wanted to see that, but that is my least favorite. Especially just in comparison to the other ones, I guess. Next would probably be The Box, I think.
Okay.
Well, no, you know what? I think originally it would have been, but I think after our discussion, like I'm a lot more intrigued by it. So I would say Don't Fall next, because it's just it's pure fun. It's really good horror, at least what I want to call horror. But in comparison to these other ones now, like The Box, which would be next, and then ending with her only living son, those two are just like powerhouses of like a lot of like density. I studied like literature for freaking 4 years, so like that's all I know is just to like analyze and pick apart things all the time. So this was fun to do for that. I gotta put my freaking degree to something.
Even if it's a podcast that you put out for free.
Yeah. All right, your turn.
Okay. Ooh, I'll rattle them.
Here we go.
Don't Fall is least favorite.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna go The Box.
Okay.
Even though I really did like our discussion, I would say there's a really big gap between 4 and 3 for me.
Okay.
Like just in terms of quality, yeah, like a real wide margin. Then The Birthday Party still sits high up there just because it's fun, and I just like the theme of like a mom just trying to be good.
Okay.
Yeah. And then obviously Her Only Living Son being my favorite.
Yeah. Right on.
So there it is. Yeah.
Not too vastly different. Our takes.
No.
I mean, we both have the top number one,
Yeah.
and I think our opinions
Because we're
are
both just damaged boys.
We are with caring mothers. I mean, yeah, I don't think our opinions differ all that much either. Just the ranking.
Where would you put the framing sequence? We didn't even really talk about that a whole lot.
It's
so abstract. I feel like I need to watch it like 10 more times. I need to find a cut of that on YouTube.
Just it.
Of just that. Yeah, I feel there's the thing with the bird coming out of the doll, and then there's like the clock.
And the bird ends up going into like this live action little girl, like her heart, basically, like a door there, and she starts like living. So it acts like it's her heart.
It's very Lynch, Jodorowsky, surrealist. You know what I mean?
Strange. And I would frame it like outside like of the rest of like the movies, but it was definitely the most interesting part. I'm all for that stop animation kind of stuff. So
I'm a big Tim Burton head, though I don't let on, but so I like that stop motion. I like the weird visuals and whatnot.
Yeah, it was really, really creepy. Really great stuff. And it's just intriguing. Like you follow it the whole time.
The artist of thinking of it's a comic book artist, Dave McKinnon, maybe. He does really cool stuff with that. It's not stop motion, it's comics, but it's like mixed media. I think I'm saying his name wrong, but he definitely did some stuff on Sandman. No, he did Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on Serious Earth with Grant Morrison.
This does remind me of some that at least the framing of it did remind me of some Neil Gaiman kind of stuff.
Yeah. He might. I think he worked on some Sandman stuff too, at least. But yeah, it really reminded me of that. Just like weird visuals and those like kind of like really pulling as much as you can out of drab colors.
Yeah,
which I like.
And like there's like there isn't really like much of a story behind it, though. You can kind of follow a bit of a narrative. Like
you pick up more meaning than story. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it was so cool, and like there's just a lot of good use of sound and kind of music. It was great.
I'm intrigued I want to find out if it was shot in a way to where they just found the best places to cut, or if it was shot specifically to frame. Like they knew the hits, and almost like how you shoot a TV show to know where their commercials are.
Right, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to know that. So Sophia Carrillo, hit me up. Yeah. Let me know.
Slide into whichever DMs you find us on Instagram, Twitter,
Facebook,
or leave a review.
Or be like, hey, your show sucked, but here's your answer.
Yeah.
I've got some information on this movie. This movie had really interesting production history.
Okay.
When it was originally announced, it was 2014. Actually, even going before that, Roxanne Benjamin was like kind of the spearhead for this project. And she originally envisioned it as, an anthology film with all female directors. It was going to be crowd funded. And along comes producer Todd Brown. And he is like more of a big time producer. He secured a big budget for them, or I think it's like $2 million or something like that, but still big for like a VOD release. Like $2 million is a good chunk of money. It was originally non-union. It wound up becoming union. They used the DGA and whatnot. It was originally announced to be Giovanna Vukovic, Karen Kusama, Mary Herron from American Psycho, and Jennifer Lynch, who's David Lynch's daughter. Directed a few movies. I actually haven't seen any of her stuff. I really want to see one in particular called Surveillance, which is on Shudder. Shout out to Shudder.
Another one.
Yeah. Actually, I'm not... It was either Roxanne or Jovanka who was the spearhead. It was one of those two. Those are the two big ones. I learned a lot of this on Shockwaves' podcast. They did, back before the movie came out, they did a whole interview with them, a whole episode. Mary Herron drops out, and so does Jennifer Lynch, because they're not in the final product.
Right.
I think Mary Herron wound up getting involved with like The Handmaid's Tale or something like that, some kind of other like web show.
Yeah.
And Jennifer Lynch just dropped out for whatever reason. Producer director Antonia Bird. She was involved, and then she unfortunately died of breast cancer. They went through a lot of different lineup changes. The two, I think, like Karen's short and Jovanka's short were both like done for like 2 years before they picked up the other people. Then they almost like lost funding, and there was like a point where they were like, "Fuck it, let's just get like 2 guys."
Ooh.
And they didn't. They wound up not doing that. That was especially like they really wanted to keep that vision of just like the female directed anthology film.
I remember this being marketed a lot.
Yeah, they put a lot.
Played into.
Maybe they got a good deal for getting on Netflix and stuff.
I definitely heard about it because I was still following. Like, I still follow St. Vincent, but she was definitely talking about it a lot, doing a lot of interviews. I think one of the funniest things, funnier moments from like her press tour, what she was doing is like, oh, what's it feel like to be a woman like in music, or what's it feel to be like a woman in film or whatever? And like she just kept giving people all this shit. Like, you don't ask like a man like what it feels like to be a man and doing this. We're just doing it. We're artists. Fucking weirdos. And you couldn't have called it XX if it had men in it too. I think that's kind of like a cool little tongue-in-cheek kind of thing about, you know, it being directed by women and written by women.
Right.
You know, those chromosomes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Chromosomes? Chromosomes off the Chrome Dome.
Yeah.
Sitting in my own home.
Yeah.
Watching Biodome.
You watch Biodome?
No, fuck that.
You like Pauly Shore?
No.
You want to talk about Pauly Shore?
I maybe I'll cut this part out, but Adam wants to do for October he said you should come. Big, like 6 or 7 movie Pauly Shore marathon.
I love Pauly Shore. I'm down.
He wants to do a Brendan Fraser one too.
Oh, I'm so down.
Do you have anything else about XX? Any final thoughts?
So I saw this because I'm still on Tumblr for some reason, just passively reblogging things and liking things. Which actually, by the way, I'm going to make an announcement so I can hold myself accountable. I think I'm going to start one for the show. A lot of cool horror stuff on there. So I feel like that'd be fun. Maybe a
little freeformy.
Yeah, a new little social media channel that we can update kind of more frequently and stuff like that.
Yeah. But not strictly related to news about the show. But
yeah, no, just
maybe I'll throw some writing on there too. Maybe we'll
figure it out. We're planning out.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at a lot of horror stuff on there now when I used to be afraid of that kind of shit. But yeah, so I saw this.
Reblog pictures of Evan Peters from American Horror Story
with the skull paint.
Yeah, it would reblog paint. A lot of that, or like Normal People Scare Me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it would be a lot of that, guys.
Yeah, it's 2018, but that's still happening. Believe it or not.
We're going for a new fucking demographic, baby.
But I saw this real cool thing on there. Real legitimately cool. I think you might like it. Do you know this guy named Peter Cushing? It's a kind of like an old-timey kind of classic actor.
Do I know Peter Cushing?
Yeah.
That's fucking Grand Moff Tarkin in Star Wars.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, Peter Cushing, man.
Anyway,
were you trying to be sarcastic?
Yeah, a little bit.
Oh, okay. I thought you were really asking me. I got offended.
Fuck you.
I was like, Hammer staple, man. Like,
yeah, exactly. I figured that would be another reason why you know him, because
he's Grand Moff Tarkin,
who's also like digitally like remade in
my favorite Star Wars movie, Rogue One.
Yeah, Rogue One. Anyway,
I'm so excited for Rogue 2.
So I saw something that kind of, I think, affected the way I even looked at XX. Because I just saw this quote not too long ago before watching this, and I think it's something that relates to something that's been bothering me about, like, I think the last review that we did, I kind of talked about, like, what does it mean to do horror? While this isn't necessarily like an answer to that or anything, I think it's just a different analysis of horror that I didn't necessarily think about before. But I love his take on it. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but essentially what it is that he doesn't necessarily, he says, I don't object to it. He doesn't object to the phrase or the term horror for the movies that he does. He just feels like it's not the right term for it, whereas the term horror should be stuff for like Godfather, where, like, you know, you see like real life like violence happening, you know, and that's like day-to-day kind of things, and you know, just literal violence. Whereas the stuff that he does, he likes to consider more fantasy. That's what he wants to call his horror movies, or whatever, however you want to frame it. It's pure fantasy.
That's fair. I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of Hammer. I've seen a few, and I've seen a lot of the Dracula ones, at least. But yeah, I would feel like that would be more into there's like really no realism whatsoever. That's why, like,
when their stuff, right? That era.
Yeah, that's like when you see things like you're like, okay, well, why does Night of the Living Dead or Psycho or Rosemary's Baby have like the impact it does? It's because at that point, what you were getting were either the Hammer horror stuff or you were getting like the crazy Attack of the 50-Foot Woman B-movie stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Big like post-nuclear bombing, post-World War II, like radioactive era stuff like the original Blob and whatnot.
But so your take on horror when we were talking about it last episode was that it's like things that you don't get to like see every day, things that you don't really experience necessarily, which in a sense is still basically fantasy.
Yeah. I mean, it is all like an off, breed of fantasy.
Yeah.
And, like I said, it relates to sci-fi and things and like that.
So I kind of took that with me in watching XX, especially with like, let's say, The Birthday Party. I was watching, I was like, no, this isn't really horror. But then that quote kind of came back to me. I was like, okay, this is kind of like a fantastic kind of like story. Like a fantastic meaning, like it's kind of larger than like your day-to-day kind of life. Like it's an absurd kind of story.
Yeah, if everything was related to things that could happen, if everything in every movie, or even one movie, like imagine watching a movie where everything plays out exactly as it would in real life, it'd be miserable. That would suck.
I'm drawn to that kind of stuff, though, in my own writing, for the most part. Yeah, no, you're right, and I think that's gonna help me a little bit more in my analyses of the movies that are coming up from here on out. And yeah, I love that take on it. I really do. Cool to finally do like an anthology for the show.
Oh yeah, certainly. I really like the way that we were able to break it down a little bit more coherently than we kind of. A regular movie where we, sort of jump around and, we connect points to different spaces within the film.
Yeah.
This is nice structure to it.
Yeah. Maybe we should take some tips on our own other actual full-length movie kind of stuff.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it was cool. It was great. I'm glad I finally got to see it. And, it is what it is. I feel like, I don't know. It's certainly not an amazing, piece of art, but it was still like a cool, it was a cool set of 4 movies, each different than the last, but you can still kind of get some kind of underlying message between it, kind of threads through about motherhood, except for Don't Fall, which is just fun. Like it's just fun. But all the other ones, are good, too.
I've seen most of Karen Kusama's other work. I haven't seen Girl Fight. I've seen Jennifer's Body. I've seen this short. I've seen The Invitation. I feel like she did. Netflix. Did she do what did she do? Did she do anything else besides those films? I feel like I'm missing something. Yes, just some TV. But I would say this is definitely my favorite of anything she's done. Was that just that short? Really, really liked it. Really, I'm still sitting here trying to take my mind off of it so I can finish this.
Yeah, so, it was very good.
Yeah, really,
very, very good.
And, big ups to her for just knocking it out of the park, and big ups to whoever decided the order that this goes in, because that was a great closer. If that was anywhere else in the, in the order, it would have really been weird.
Yeah. To end on that kind of note,
because it's also it's also the biggest idea, hands down. It is the biggest implications.
Yeah. That's true too. Yeah. It makes me almost want to not necessarily reevaluate Jennifer's Body, but I don't know, it's almost like a far cry. It's very different, very different movie. In tone. And
it's really about different age groups too. You know what I mean? And that plays into it a lot.
Yeah,
you're talking about the sexualization of teenage girls versus a very non-sexualized mother.
Right. I think maybe her thing it seems to be. I don't know anything about The Invitation. I haven't seen it or anything, which I kind of.
I don't think we could do it for the show. I don't consider it horror.
Okay.
It's more of just a psychological thriller. I guess there are a lot of people who do consider it horror, but
it's like an ensemble kind of thing, right? There's a lot of characters, right?
A lot of characters, yeah.
So my deep fried fucking take on her work seems like that she likes relationships quite a bit, dynamics.
Yeah.
So I do want to I just want to see more of her, and love to see more work come out from her too. Be great.
Man. Absolutely. Well, I guess that's it for XX, huh?
Look at that.
Hey.
What's the next one?
On to the next one. Oh boy.
Yes, of course.
How could you? Oh boy. Okay. So we're back to my pick. We're at episode 15, and we're right at the beginning, at least for most people, normal people who don't consider spooky season all year round, the beginning of Halloween. So we are doing a very, very special episode, a 3 three parts within the same episode. But we are going to be discussing Hell House LLC, Hell House LLC 2, The Abaddon Hotel, which is a little bit breaking formula because I haven't seen it. It just came out on the 20th of September through Shudder. It's a Shudder exclusive. So we're going to be reviewing that too. First time for both of us going into that. And we will be visiting the Waldorf Estate of Fear, where both films were shot.
You love breaking format.
I do. This is a good reason to.
Why? You're killing me.
Because it's fun.
I'm trying to keep things orderly. And you're just like, hey, come over, watch this movie with me. Hey, we're going to watch this at the same time. Not the same time, but like for the first time, each of us. Mm-hmm. God. Hey, it's going to be fun though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Look forward to that. Might be our longest episode, honestly.
Probably, because we got to do 2 movies and a haunted house.
And if our last experience with the haunted house is anything, we're going to wind up putting out like a 45-minute episode. Like just on
haunted houses, yeah.
That's just gonna be us. Yeah, check that out, and shout out to Taylor for joining us. But anyway, thank you guys so much, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to leave a review or a comment wherever you find this. On social media, we're on Twitter at good_suffering. On Instagram, we're at Good Suffering Podcast, and you can find us on Facebook at Good Suffering: a horror podcast. Thank you guys, and once again, this has been Good Suffering.